Good evening and welcome to our new Monday night and Tuesday night interview shows. Tonight, we're kicking off our series with the one and only MJ. Good evening, MJ.
How are you, sir?
Oh man, I am great. I am great. So glad to have you on the show. It's been like a minute.
2 minutes, I think.
Oh, it's been a
Some
while.
odd seconds.
Yeah, been a little while. So tonight we're going to be kind of digging into our topic and some lessons that MJ's had throughout his life and kind of dig into that. Before we get to that, one of our main sponsors is sponsoring tonight's show. That's DJ Event Planner. You can see the link and such down below. You can go and check them out if you have not checked out DJ Event Planner. They're an online tool source for the mobile DJ market, specifically the wedding market. You guys can check them out at djeventplanner.com. So, MJ, I wanted to kind of eventually get to performance creativity because you've really been kind of going in that direction and writing a lot about creativity and increasing that and such. But before we get there, we have to kind of have our head in the right place to be able to get there successfully and to be able to be that creative person. And I really want to kind of, because this is a personal thing for me, and it's a personal thing for you also, is the idea of not ignoring our mental health and things we can do in that arena. How old were you when you came to the realization that, hey, I got to pay attention to this a little bit more?
Less than 5 years?
Okay, I was hoping you'd be a little sooner than that, but I was thinking, I wasn't far. That was about the same time. Maybe because we were.
I mean, I've always kind of known the toll it takes, but I've always been one of those people I push through, and I've put a lot of that, just shoved it deep down inside, and didn't realize how much of it I needed to just address and look at, and it's an odd thing.
Exactly, that idea of basically almost viewing it as my specific situation. It's like, well, there must be something wrong with that. I'm not able to function, or I'm not able to do, or I'm not able to, and you just kind of ignore it and get busy and move on.
You and I are from the generation that we just keep doing. I heard somebody one time say that if he said, if I walked into the room with a spear sticking through my body, my dad would go, "Do pull that out. You're going to ruin your sweater." And that's kind of what we're just the push through. And one of my notes that I'm going to be doing in an upcoming video is we're talking about the what's the word I'm looking for? The not hype culture. I'm blanking on what it's called. The culture, where you're just pushing and pushing, and hustle culture.
Hustle.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to flip that and talk more about the health culture, because there's nothing wrong with working hard, but there's a point where you are causing damage backwards, and it's going to cut into every part of your life, your creativity, your personal relationships, everything.
And getting caught up in that hustle culture, there are times in your life where you have been traveling and performing and doing so many different things that, as you've talked about your schedule in the past, it's like, how, which way was up would have seemed to be the question for you.
There was days when I first got hired in some of the big clubs in Pittsburgh. In fact, one of the clubs was called Rock Jungle, and at that time it was the largest club in the nation by how many people could fit in there. And I was working a day job at that point, 7 to 3, and then I'd come home and sleep a couple hours. And clubs were different back then, so they were open more nights a week than just the weekends. So I was DJing Tuesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And so I would be working during the day, come home, sleep a couple hours, go DJ from 9, because we started at 9 then, 9 to 2, come home, sleep a couple hours, get up in the morning, work the day job. And I just kept doing that over and over for 4 years, something like that.
Oh, what a toll that would have taken.
I seriously don't know, other than just the fact that I was spinning a lot of EDM at that place. That's what my job was. I was hired as a trance DJ, and I love that stuff so much that's the other thing we're going to talk later about mental health, about finding something you love. But I think that's what it was I was doing something I love, and sleep wasn't important, life wasn't important, relationships weren't important. I just was getting to do what I wanted to do. And I look and go, I don't know how I did it for so long, other than that's my only explanation.
So that would have been after the time of you being a more of a traveling DJ?
Still about time. That was late 90s, early 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was still doing vocal performing then. I was doing, because there was nights that I'd go and do, because I was a Christian vocal artist, I'd go do a show at a church on a Saturday night and then go DJ at a club after that. So I'd be doing these double gigs in my booking agent I had at that time would book me double places to where I would do the church event as a vocal artist. And he's like, hey, you guys are going to have an after party. He's like, yeah. They're like, you should have MJ DJ the after party. So even when I was out on tour, I was on stage, come off stage, I'd go set up in another room to do the after party for the concert. So I just kept putting me aside.
Sure.
Yeah.
And as you're looking back at it, can you see during that busy time? Yes, you were doing what you loved when it came to the playing and performing of music and such that kept you a little sane. But can you see, looking back, where there were cracks in the exterior type of a situation?
Yeah, there was one night, and it still is in my head because I still try to understand it. And I was at a show, and a lot of times because the show I did was dance music, it was high energy stuff. So I was always the icebreaker to the crowd. So they always put me on first, no matter where I was at. And I remember coming off stage, and so I'm facing the audience this way, and the green room was that way. So I went off stage that way, and there was a little set of steps and across to the green room, and the next band was coming on as I was coming off, and I'm laughing out loud. Didn't even realize I was laughing out loud. And the one girl in the band's like, "Wait, what's so funny? What'd we miss?" And I go, "What is God doing with me?" I felt that disconnected from who I was as a person at that point. It was significant to me to see that, to the point where still to this day I look at that and go, what was I mentally going through that was my reaction at that time, that I felt so disconnected that I was like, I was like laughing at the person on stage.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of what it was.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's like watching a Netflix. What were they? Why?
Yeah, what is?
So when you mentioned 5 years ago you really started to kind of grasp that the importance of the mental health, but as you were progressing over the years, was it something that you were doing little things to kind of to help in some of these areas where you were feeling the stress and things kind of get to you, or how did that?
I honestly think I just pushed through everything.
Okay.
And that's the best way I can say it. Where you talk about the cracks, my cracks came in with relationships to where I would be very moody because I say, how many times on Disc Jockey News have I said I'm not a people person, and it became that to where I used to do a lot of stuff, volunteer stuff for churches and different things, and my world just became smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's like, you imagine you being out in the wilderness trying to survive or walking through the desert, and you just start throwing off the things you don't need, less and less and less. And my world kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I got to a point probably about 8 years ago when I kind of realized that, like, I cannot keep going like this. So.
And so you get to that point. I mean, is there how do you handle it? Because there's going to be a part of you that feels like, that I want to be successful and I want to be able to do all of these things. How did you handle that discussion in your head?
I honestly came to a point, I think for me, I felt I couldn't do any more on my own. Like, I could not keep going that way. I couldn't, like I said, our generation was just the generation of, you take care of yourself. Your car breaks down, you learn how to fix it. We're that type of people, and it was like I was trying to fix me, and it was out of my depth at that point. I did go, like I said, I decided to go talk to a counselor, and it took me a long time to kind of understand what I had been through in the past 20 some years as a performer, just chasing the dream. And I talk about it in my book, to where it was just, my entire life was chasing that dream. Everything went aside, relationships, everything. Where you live, there was a point in time where I ended up renting a room off a friend of mine's mom just to cut down on my cost so I can keep traveling and performing. And you're 30 years old or whatever I was at that point, everyone's looking at you like, what are you doing?
Sure.
You know, people probably still look at me and go, what are you doing?
Well, there's that, but most of those
Yeah.
are like our children and our family, and they're like, what?
Is that making sense? Like
No,
this trip, because it was a very long time before I really looked at the cost I was paying chasing my dream.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long time.
Kind of define what your dream was at that time for the people who are because there's some folks who haven't haven't been with you like we have for the number of years that are new to our DJNTV stuff. So the dream, kind of go back and refresh our memory with that.
I wanted to become a professional ninja.
Nice.
And at that point, no,
I thought I was an astronaut, but hey, I forget too.
no, I'm already in space all the time, anyways. So, no, it was like I since I was younger, I've always done stuff in the arts and entertainment world. When I was a kid, my parents owned their own arts and crafts store, so I was into art and photography my whole life. I've literally, as a middle schooler, had cartoons in a national competition, and I've always done these things. And then there came a point around 1990 where I realized I was really good at dancing and decided to start taking dance lessons and end up doing TV commercials and getting to tour and do all these things as a dancer. And then around 92, I said, well, I think I want to try to take this further, see what I can do to add some vocal and music stuff to it. And then started learning production on stuff and getting to go perform it. Like I said, I was a Christian vocal artist, so I got to perform different places, got to travel around. I was in Joy and Praise magazine for stuff I did there. I got to travel to festivals out in up your way. I did 2 or 3 New Year's Eves up near you. Where people were flying me all over the country to do these things. There was another place where I got hired as to perform and DJ in the front lobby.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing double duty there. And there was just things like that where I've always chased one thing to another, and you get to a point where as a dancer, I wanted to make it more three-dimensional. So I then became a vocal performer. And the whole time I was doing that, I was DJing because people kept paying me to DJ. It was like, I do this, not make a lot of money as a vocal performer, but yeah, we'll give you hundreds of dollars to do this. And it became this thing, and then got picked up by the clubs, and you started doing the clubs and still trying to make it as a vocal artist. And then, I hit my mid 40s and went like, I can't, nobody wants to hire me anymore as a dance artist, for youth as a 40-some-year-old. And I had to back away from that. And that was a tough thing, just trying to learn my identity. Mm-hmm. And it was all these things. I wanted to make it as something like this, where it stood on its own, not just a paycheck for now. I really wanted to make something that was beyond, bigger than me, that had its own momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept chasing and chasing and chasing. And like I said, everything went aside for that, because it was, when you have that itch. I talk in my book about the creative virus. Like if you're bitten by that creative bug, you can't turn it off. And I had the bug for all of these things, and everything went to the side just to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
So did that answer it? Like the road on that? Because there was a long road of a lot of creativity, a lot of different things I got to do. And I wanted to make it as something, and I'm still chasing to this day, but I'm smarter about it now, because I learned that there is no sustainability in that hustle culture.
Mm-hmm. And I think the whole, everyone pretty much who's got goals and has aspirations to do something great, and we'll put that in quotes for lack of a better way to describe it, is, chasing something. It's just a question of where it's at and how that has evolved over the years and such. So yeah, I definitely think that made sense and helped for the folks who are just getting to meet MJ for the first time tonight. So you mentioned, of course, the creativity has been a big part of your life, and throughout that process, you were utilizing your creative juices, and you had some outlets and such, many outlets. How has, once you've started to really say, hey, I need to take care of me and work on me, how has that experience of saying I need to take care of me, has that changed your ability to be creative and to create art of any sort?
It's funny because it's made a dual path. Mm-hmm. And this has made more sense to me recently than anything I can even explain to you, is that you're choosing things that are more sustainable.
Okay.
That have a return. So right now I'm trying to build a print-on-demand business and stuff and trying to do YouTube videos. I'm relaunching my YouTube stuff this year. I did it all last year, and I'm trying to make where that is an income. When I was a reporter for you, I don't know if you remember when I first started, one of my goals is I wanted to make about half my money from things in the DJ world aside from DJing. So that could have been videos or speaking or teaching, because I taught for Guitar Center and all that, and I couldn't quite pull it off. So now with this, I'm trying to build this side of it. So I'm looking at the dual road of stuff that is going to be an income, because you have to make money. You can chase your dreams, but you still have to make money. But the stuff that puts me in a decent mental space. So creating the shirts and different things that I put out, the designs that are going on those things, I love doing that. I can sit here for hours and just absolutely love it. The stuff that's tough on me is the videos. I don't enjoy the video process. But I know I'm good at it, and I know that it gets people. So you have to find that balance between the stuff that you need to do and the stuff you want to do. So I'm trying to integrate in the video side of things AI stuff. And I haven't even talked to you about all the AI stuff that I'm doing, to where videos that I'm working on now, I'm in them, I'm speaking, you're seeing me just like this, but they're not me.
Sure.
AI generated.
I've seen some examples of that. So
yeah, and that's what I'm trying to create. So trying to find a mental space is finding ways to do the things you need to do in a way that's healthy. So I'm trying to create these to where if I want to create a video, maybe all I have to do is record the audio, and the AI will sync whatever audio I do that day with the videos that I pre-recorded, and I can put out a video as if I just recorded it.
Sure.
So it's the dual road of finding the stuff that you have to do to make money and the stuff you want to do, which is I should say it's a third part, but it's the stuff you have to do, doing it in a way that's healthy for you. Like I said, I'm trying to create ways in this that I can create the videos and do all these things where it's not stressful, that I don't hate, and still able to do these things. Same way with DJing. The places I DJ now aren't as stressful as they used to be, so I'm focusing on those. So it's kind of taking down of just doing anything, or taking that third part I said is the small projects. You're like, I want to try this. You find time for something small and do that, but you're going to have to eliminate some stuff and tell yourself you will not achieve the whole world. You just can't.
No.
Don't stop it. Sit back, grab a cold, go for it. It's a nice day. Go watch us. I posted about this earlier this year. There's only so many. There's a sunset every day. Go see one or two of them before they disappear. Because there's a point in your life where there's not going to be any more sunsets.
At least not for us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. At least,
yeah.
Sunsets you can see with your eyes. So try to get out, and that's what I've been trying to do. I've been doing more photography, and that forces me to get out and stand there and go, I can't take a picture because the sun isn't, the light isn't right, the colors aren't right. So it forces me to stay there. So these little things that I'm working in are trying to let me continue what I do, but do them in a healthy way. Yes, I need to make a video, but I'm going to try to do it where it's healthier for me, and I'm not stressing over it. I'm not worried about it when it posts. Like, one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is putting out the videos without comments, because I don't need to hold a conversation about the stuff that I put out. I just, here's the information. If you want to use it, great. If you want to send me an email saying, thanks, I appreciate this, great. But I don't need to have a conversation with you saying, you should have used this f-stop on the camera, or you should have, why are you using this mic, or did you approve the audio on that, or you have your what's it called, Amazon Associate program, did you disclose your Amazon Associate program? And I'm like, I don't need to have that discussion with anybody.
Yeah.
So it's ways that I'm trying to do these things, yet eliminate the things that stress me out.
So let's kind of take a step back. You've been a performer with the DJ side of it. You were getting into the clubs and such. And when we first started working together, you were doing a lot of the club work, and you kind of progressed, and you've been doing those in the area there for a long time. When did that type of an event, as you started to really kind of work on your, pay attention to your mental health and your personal health, when did that change? How did it change? How did the performing side of it, of the spinning discs type of a thing, how did that change with your process?
Like when it got worse or better? Like what's your...
Just as you're coming through the process. So we kind of left off where you were performing and traveling and doing all of that. Then you went kind of into the clubs, and you were doing those more. After you left your day job, let's take it up from about that point. And how did that progress?
Well, the day job was something that took me a long time to realize that if I'm not doing something creative in any shape or form, I'm going to be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And I really dug in hard to try to make a living at this. And that's where I saw that DJing at that point, people wanted to pay me to DJ. So I kept DJing. You're asking like when did it take off? Or
Well,
when did
the DJ side of it, from our past conversations and even just how you referred to it here, it doesn't. You enjoyed the EDM world, but going and taking requests and playing the latest Bruno Mars song or country song. Oh, the country. I mean, anything short of playing Huey Lewis, you were not overly happy with. But you know,
hey, I have no problem playing Huey. He's a talented guy, talented band, great songs. No argument here on that point.
But that wasn't the dream that you had.
No.
That wasn't the area that isn't what basically got you up in the morning and said, "Yeah, I get to do this today." And that takes a toll on one's mental health. How did that progress where you got to the point and saying, "Okay, I need to adjust or change or do something different"? Because you said today, the events you're taking and doing are a lot less stressful and a lot better for your mental health.
Well, my spin around, like my big spin around was a lot that other people faced the same. So I was doing these gigs and I was happy doing them because there's a difference between being joyful, happy, and thankful. Okay. Thankful, you may not be happy, you may not be joyful. Happy is a little past thankful, but you're still not, like, yay, I'll do it, doesn't matter to me, So I was in the happy state to where I was not working a day job. And that's what was big to me about these gigs. I didn't go, yay, I'm going to go spin hip hop tonight, or I'm going to go spin country, or I'm going to spin whatever. It was like, this is way better than a day job. And I still look at it that way, that, that if I go out on the weekend and I DJ Friday and Saturday, I've made my pay for the week, and I've made it in about the same amount of hours as one day at the day job. So it's about 8 hours. So I took that as being what I needed to do. And then COVID happened. It hit so many people, and being this introverted person, and again, I don't mean to offend anybody by what I'm about to say, because I don't mean to disrespect anybody that lost anybody during COVID, but I loved that time so much because I didn't have to leave my house. And that taught me to kind of realize what I wanted, and I wanted to stay home and be creative. I wrote the book, The Creative Virus, about that. You can get that. It's out there. It's called The Creative Virus. It's pretty much everywhere. And I recently dropped a podcast about it on my YouTube, which is IMMJYT, IMMJ YouTube. And it talks about the book. So if you were interested, it's a 15-minute podcast these two people did about my book. You can check it out. But the process of going through COVID and realizing that the reason I chased all of these dreams was to be creative. So my fire underneath doing all this was that I wanted to be creative. And that's when I kind of realized I maybe need to change some things, because as a friend of mine always used to say, you might be happy, but could you be happier? And I looked at that going, I don't want to just make money anymore. Thankful for it. I'm very thankful for it. But how can I do this to where I've always said you can make money doing anything, but if you can be happy while making money, that's a form of wealth. And that's what I'm trying to create with this stuff now, is that COVID showed me that I didn't always want to be a performer. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to make a living at doing something that was not, as I labeled it in the book, a day job. So is that kind of explains what you want there, that pivot point? Is that what you were talking about?
Yep. And you went perfect with that. That the idea you were utilizing some of those creative skills when you were DJing and you were doing your different things, and ultimately being creative is what makes you happy. What
you
really
have to
drives
find
it.
The fire, whatever your
fire
that burns underneath is. It's not going to be the same for everybody. And if you tell me my fire is making money, I'm going to laugh at you.
Yeah,
because
pretty much.
You can be rich and be miserable. Money will not, I repeat this, will not make you happy. All it will do is amplify who you are. So if you are intently an unhappy person, you're just going to be an unhappy person that if they get a flat tire, they're able to fix the flat tire and not worry about do they have enough money in savings or if they have to do it like that. If the refrigerator goes, they can just get a refrigerator. That's what money does. Money makes things that go wrong easier, but it will not make you happy. And you have to figure out what that fire is underneath. Money cannot be it. I don't care who you are. I'll argue with you to the end of the earth. It's not that. There's something else. It may be providing for your kids. That could be the reason. You say, but you need to get the money for the kids. So it isn't the money then, is it?
Exactly.
It's the kids. It's your love for your children or whatever, something like that. You understand what I mean? You have to find what your thing is. For a lot of guys who do the wedding DJs, their fire is creating those moments for the brides and grooms.
Yes.
And that is a thing that I'm like, you don't understand. That's a gift. Like, it really is. Those of you who are good at that, that's a gift to be able to make someone forget about their day, get lost in a moment of why they fell in love with that person.
Yeah.
Right then and there. That can be your fuel, but you have to figure out what that fuel is. For me, it was thinking through things and being creative and making stuff and just everything that had to do with DJing was always about being creative with the crowd. You know, things like that. When I was on stage, I think it was more about creating the songs before I got on stage. But getting on stage was just a way to make money with the songs and all these different things. Like when I do photography now, I love doing that because I like, after I take the photo, being creative with the photo in Lightroom and different things like that. So I found that it is the creativity for me, but you have to find what it is for you. And it could be 1,000 different things. It may not be any of those things that I mentioned, but I'm telling you, if you say, oh, it's money, no, you'll get miserable at some point.
Oh, for sure. And I think that, kind of flashing back to what you were just saying about wedding DJs, that is so true with many. And I would put myself into that boat, is that the thing that makes it worthwhile is being able to create those moments that others cannot create, and to help them have that experience.
Yeah.
And for so many DJs now, they either they can't create those type of moments for whatever reason, whether it's today's clients aren't into that type of moments, or they don't have the time, or they don't have the whatever. There's things that are going to can get in the way, and I think we have a lot of DJs who, and there's many times where I finish a show where it's been a turn, come in and plug in and play and walk out the door, and I miss those situations, and you end up at times almost hating yourself. It's like, the whole day did this, and yes, I got paid, and yes, I got paid well, but I could have been any number of other places doing any number of other things, and I would have liked myself better.
Yeah.
Than that.
The odd thing that I struggle with, and I think, if you hang any time around me, I'm going to talk about my faith. And again, I'm not talking about my faith to try to convert you into anything. But with faith, it's partially about a purpose that we have. So finding that fire is tied to your purpose. So if you have a job where your purpose is creating moments, and you don't have them that day, something like you said, John, there are days where it's a job. You show up, you complete a task, you get a paycheck. And that day you didn't have that purpose, that little fire thing. But when you leave, you have the next thing because you're working on the next thing. So if that purpose of yours is that, then that's something you can hold on to the next thing, because you're not going to have eureka moments every single night you're out. You're just not. There are days where it is just a paycheck and you're moving on to the next thing. But the purpose is an odd, when I talk about, like I said, I brought it up because it's an odd thing, whether it be that I'm doing the things I'm doing to show God's love to just total strangers, being there as a person, because that's what I think a lot of Christian faith people think. You get someone getting up on stage and just talking, but it's about being a person, standing next to a person. That's what our faith is about, is that, and that is a purpose of just holding a conversation with another human being and encouraging them. In the Bible, they talk about the talents that you have, the different spiritual gifts. And I know one of mine is encouragement. So I know that no matter how big of a stage I stand on, if I'm standing next to someone who is having a bad week and I give them some encouragement, that's my purpose.
Sure.
So you have to look at things beyond even the money, beyond even the fire, and try to find purpose underneath of that. And it's going to take them all to kind of keep you going, because everybody is going to have those ups and downs where you just like want to, I'm out of this business.
Yep.
I'm history.
Yep.
You know? How did they used to say that? I'm outie 5,000 back in the day.
Yeah.
That takes you back there.
Yeah, it was,
But
a reference.
there's a lot of all of that. And as a person, again, I want to encourage you, if you're watching this and you have these dreams to do these things, everything is possible, but it is going to cost you something. So you have to figure out what you're willing to take off the table. And again, that's probably why I'm still single, because I was willing to take off any relationship. Making it is more important than a relationship. And it's not for everybody. And I do not recommend you do that. But I'm just saying that was part of my mindset. So you have to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice to achieve something. And you may have to set some things aside, or at least set them aside for a while, or set aside achieving them. Like one of the things in the book I talk about is that, for someone who maybe had a dream to be creative in some level or another, but had to step away from it to raise a kid, or maybe had to, take care of a parent that was sick. Your life's not over, so your dream's not over. So you can come back to that and reach it at another time. So just as long as you're alive, your dream is alive at some point in some way.
And I think part of that, to keeping our dream alive, is also a level of self-care to keep yourself in a position where, when the opportunity arises, that you can take advantage of it. Whereas if a person starts that negative spiral down, it could be very, very difficult. And I guess that's kind of the direction I want to kind of look at next. There, MJ, is for people who find themselves in that negative spiral, is that I want to be a great wedding DJ, and I want to do all this, I want to do all these different things, and yet it's just out of reach for whatever reason, and they just can never seem to get there, and they can't. I'll be so much happier if I can do X, Y, and Z, and I can never quite get there. And they just beat themselves up for it. It becomes this negative thing. How do they break that?
There's going to be several things I'm going to tell you to break that. One, this is the first. I'm going to put. There's no particular order here other than what they come to my mind. So whatever you're trying to achieve, I said this in the book. And I tell people, and they look at me like I'm from Mars when I say this. But whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever time you think it's going to take you to achieve it, give yourself 4 times as much time to achieve that. Because if you achieve it in less than 4 times as much time, you're going to be like, dude, look how well I did. But if it takes you 4 times, you still did it. Okay? So don't beat yourself up over time frames. Well, I was trying to achieve this by the time I was 30. I was trying to achieve this by the time I was 40. I want to retire by the time I'm 55. If you don't, it's okay. So number 1, stop beating yourself up. And I'm pointing at me when I say that.
I think we all kind of are guilty of the beating ourselves up. I mean, we're our worst critics when it comes to
that echo chamber in my head of my own voice that's half my own words and half the words of other people, what they've said, just sits there. And I want to. There was a point in life where I literally said this phrase, and it's taken me a while to understand it. I said, I want to drag my brain out into the street and shoot it. That's how I felt about my brain. But I've realized that my brain is trying to tell me something, and it was trying to tell me that I was pushing myself too hard.
Sure.
So those little gut feelings you have to take a break, taking care of yourself is not a waste of time. Okay? So your first is you're going to have to beat those knee-jerk reactions of beating yourself up. Okay? You're going to have to back off and go, okay, today is not about achieving everything. It's just maybe about doing something, okay? So I have 2 things that are in my daily time schedule every day that are all about this.
Okay.
And I encourage you to put both of these times in whatever time limit you want every day of your life, okay? Figure out how to fit them in. 1, I have an hour of healthcare. And that is anything from stretching, walking, moving, standing up, something other than working. Get out of the house if you can. If you can't, get on the treadmill. If it's not that, sit down on the floor and stretch. But stop doing things for an hour and work on your body. Get your head away from a computer. Get your head away from a phone screen and do those things. The other one is the one everyone disagrees with me on this. I'll fight you for it. I take I call it 30 minutes down. And what it is 30 minutes a day. I put my Bluetooth ear things in, put a sleep mask on, and whether it's sitting here in this chair or over on the couch or somewhere, I stop moving and stop inputting anything into my head for 30 minutes a day. It is a complete. Now, if you want to take a nap, that kind of works as the same thing. But I don't nap well. As you can tell, this energy. I don't drink coffee, and this is me. So stopping. You can call it meditating. You can call it whatever you want. But stopping for whatever time you think. Stop putting stuff through your eyes and through your ears into your head. And the other thing is keep moving physically in some way. Those two, I think, are super important. And the other one, again, people fight me on this. Learn to play. Learn to have fun. I don't care if it's a video game, something with your kids, riding a bicycle. I don't care. But you're not too old to play. And all of these things are going to give you room inside your head to be creative. They're going to give you room inside your head to go after these dreams you want. Because if you keep shoving stuff in there, again, you can do anything, but something has to suffer. And if your mental health suffers from this, there's not going to be room for creativity. There's just not. There's not going to be room for enjoying that moment you created last weekend and sitting there going, I saw the look on their face. That's why I do it. And you sit there and take a minute and celebrate that. So those are my things, and I do them every day. And I think that you have to look at life and you have to start slowing yourself down and you have to start going, I can't achieve everything. I don't have to achieve everything. I may think I need to, but who else in the world is telling me I need to? Probably nobody. I mean, look at yourself, John. Do you feel that anybody in your life's telling you you need to achieve more aside from you?
No, heavens no. No, most.
There you go.
I mean, they might think it, that just a bum who doesn't do anything. No, but it's one of those things that in our head, that it's everything that we say to ourselves, that self-talk can be 10 times that worse than that of what we are not achieving or what we're not doing. And again, we're our own worst critics and our own worst enemies.
That's
in many
why
cases.
I said that it took me a while to realize my brain was. I kind of treat my brain that it speaks a different language than me, and I have to stop and figure out what it's trying to tell me because I was ready to drag it out in the street. I thought it was my worst enemy, but it wasn't. It was just telling me, dude, come on now.
So let's go back to your 3 things, because I want to, you and I haven't had a ton of time to talk over the last couple of years as you've been busy and such with life. So your 3 things: the physical activity, kind of tuning out, and then play. Well, my as I've kind of been working on the mental health side of things, and have had a couple of really, really positive years over the last couple of years. It's been a dedication to doing about an hour of running a day. Tuning out was up before I started with the post office. My tuning out was basically that afternoon, just going and shutting down, and whether it was nap or just to get away from the computers and such. Now that has become my time at the post office, because I'm getting away from the DJ thing. I'm doing something that I don't mind doing. I'm socializing with people, talking, and I don't have to think about. And it's been just a huge benefit. And then the play side of it, that one the closest I get is Pokemon Go. But, hey.
But you fish with your kids, right?
We haven't done as much of that, but this past summer, we did spend a lot of time out throwing a football around, and just engaging with the kids is, like this
silliness in the house.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
And that's like we just spending time away from things, the business side of it, and the things that I feel that are the stress that are there to, make a sale or do another video to reach more people, or to, should I be posting this or that? No, this weekend it was it's cold as all crud yesterday, and my son says, "Hey Dad, there's a topper for sale an hour from here." It's like 15 below. Okay, let's go. Things like that that becomes kind of that outlet where you can go and just.
I want to throw something in with that because I'm not the most social person, and you said something about your job where you're getting to talk to people.
Hmm.
Your unplug may not be like mine, where I disconnect from the world. It may be disconnecting from work and talking to other people about things that don't have to do with work. So it doesn't have, again, it doesn't have to be what I do, but
Hmm.
find out what yours is and give yourself that time. And if it is just going somewhere and sitting down with, I don't care if you just go to a coffee shop with people you don't even know. If you enjoy that, go do it.
And I wouldn't have guessed that that was going to be something. But if Lori would, you talk to Lori, if she were here, she'd be saying, yeah, there's been a noticeable difference as I've made some friendships with the 90-year-olds in town that come into the post office every day and have gotten to know people and back and forth. I mean, I would have the idea of going into a social place 3 years ago would have been like, oh, it's going to just drain me. And it did when I first started. It was, but as time has gone on, it's gone from being a drain, an emotional drain, to that. The work I have, I know what I'm doing. It's easy enough to do. I mean, the stress level, introducing a bride and groom at their wedding day or marrying them, the stress levels up here. Working in the post office, the stress levels way down there.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
like it's a positive thing, and it helped. But it wouldn't have been if somebody would have said, "Oh, describe what it's going to take to get your head in a good mental place." I would have never said, "Oh, hanging out with 80 and 90-year-olds every day is going to do it for me." Nope.
Yeah.
But here we
And
are.
it's odd. Like I said, with COVID surprised me with the things that I'm like, oh, I kind of enjoy this.
Hmm.
You'd be surprised when you find those things out. And it could be a zillion, like John said, it wasn't he if you would have said somebody, you'd have been like, yeah, maybe I could see, peers or people might, but you never would have thought it would have been an older person that these conversations mean something to you.
Hmm.
So it could be anything. It really could. But like I said, as a person of encouragement, that I want to encourage you, try to find something because I'm telling you, I posted about this the other day. Life is not short. All of our hours are exactly the same length, and they're the same length as they were for someone 300 years ago as they are now. Life is fast, and it will be fast as you get older, and you need to start today. Whatever that thing is you want to do, if you want to be in a better mental space, today's the day to start. Start small, but start. I guess I just want to encourage you. It is achievable to get a life that you don't. My quote for all the stuff that I'm doing in the business is I want to encourage, this is the quote. I want to encourage you to create a life you love to live in and don't need a vacation from.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean you can't take a vacation, but that does what it is. It's a life where you're not constantly going, I can't wait till this weekend. I can't wait for the weekend. I can't wait for July when we get to go, I get to get away for a while. I can't wait till retirement and I get to stop. Create a life where you don't always say that.
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to do with my life. That, I'm about 10 years from retirement, and my retirement is just, to me now at this point, is just when I decide to start taking Social Security.
Sure.
That I'm going to keep doing the stuff I'm doing and maybe twist it in a different way to where maybe I'm pickier about the gigs that I take
Right.
or whatever. But that's what I want to encourage you to do, is try to create a life that you love to live in every day, and one that you don't constantly go, oh, I can't wait for the weekend. I can't wait for vacation. Because if you're living a life where you can't wait to retire, my dad was 59 when he passed. He never got to retire. And there's a large portion, I think it's 20 or 30% of the men in America don't reach retirement. So today, the people you have, what you're doing, take today. I don't care if you start with 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's whatever it takes. It doesn't, you do not have to achieve all these other things, but start.
So we got a few more minutes here, MJ, and we got to wrap up. Let's talk about when you started to make the decision to set things aside.
Yeah.
I like to refer to it when I've had this is that there's intentional neglect of some things in my life because I just don't have the time and I can't. I say it intentional neglect so I don't feel guilty about it. How difficult was that in your situation when you had things that you're like, I need to remove this from my life because it's not helping and it's a millstone type of a situation. How did you handle that?
You got to have the real talk with yourself, because I still fight myself going, if I just put out one more video, if I do one more thing, if I DJ one more place, and that isn't the answer. So you have to have a real talk with yourself. and say, listen, yeah, I want to have a hit song. Yeah, I want to DJ this DJ battle because people will respect me. You have to look at this stuff and go, really? Is that really what's going to make you happy? And you
Mm-hmm.
have to have that real talk with yourself and start looking at things that you weren't doing to make money. You may have been doing them to make money, but you weren't doing them because they were fun. You weren't doing them because it benefited something. You were doing them out of something, I want to say, egotistical and very look at me. In the DJ world, it's a very
Too
look
easy.
at me
Yeah.
society. Look what I can do. Um, and you're just going to have to go, listen, I don't have to be that. I don't have to be the guy with all the lights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be the guy that does 50 gigs this year, 100 gigs this year, or whatever your thing is. You could be work because you understand that only 7% of DJs do it full time.
Mm-hmm.
93% are part time. So you could look at it and go, do I really need to do 52 weddings this year when I work a job and have a family? You might have to go, listen, I'm going to back off the weddings and just work my day job.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have that real talk. That was me. I looked at life and I still want to achieve. I still want to make a name for myself so bad. I can't watch performers sometimes because it's like I wanted to be that.
Mm-hmm.
When Justin Timberlake, wasn't Justin Timberlake, it was somebody else that did the Super Bowl. And I had trouble watching it because it was like I wanted to achieve stuff like that.
Sure.
And it's just you have to let go of that.
And I think that became a trigger to a point. I mean,
Yeah.
things like that become a trigger. And there's my boys have really gotten into football the last couple of years, and they've left. It's like, well, why isn't Dad? Dad used to be a coach. Dad used to be play, and he used to do all of this. And it's like, because it's a trigger for me, and I know that if I get there, and it becomes one of those things. It's easier for me to step back and literally the game's going on. It's easier for me to watch them and watch them enjoy the up and stay away from the game, but watch them and talk football with them.
Yeah.
Than it is because I know in my situation that's a very big trigger.
You had the real talk with yourself at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
This has a value and it has a price.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you going to hold on to right now?
Yeah, I mean, going back, there were times where there would be a disappointing loss on a weekend, and I would be bummed for the whole week with it, type of a thing. And it's like, this isn't healthy and it's not right. Yeah. Maybe for some people they live for that, but it's like there's other things that are way more important than that.
Yeah, it's again. I just want to encourage anybody that's watching. Just and this is the last thing I want to leave with. All of these things you're doing, and it's a tough thing for me to realize, someone who's been chasing a dream my whole life, that being successful is not going to look like what you imagined it being.
Mm-hmm.
But success is still success. I'm looking at my life going, I'm working, being creative full time in the multiple things that I do, and I'm trying to build other things. That in itself is something that so many people want to achieve. So I have to look at, yes, paying bills is tough doing this. There's a lot of, I got money, and no, I ain't got no money for next month. I don't have enough gigs, that sort. There's a lot of that. We all know that. And you're just going to have to go, yeah, it's not as easy as working corporate America, but this is success. Doesn't look anything like I dreamed as a kid.
Yeah.
But it's something.
Yeah, and I think, as your statement was here just a little bit ago, is this really going to, using the phrase, is this really going to make me happy, really can become that definition of success. When you find that thing that really is going to make you happy, and
Don't be afraid to redefine success. I'm still on it.
Yep, I think that's great advice there. MJ, our time is up, my friend.
Hey.
Gosh, that went quick. That zipped right along. I put the link to the book. It's in the chat. You guys can go check that out, MJ's book. MJ, if people want to find out more information, give us some of your current websites and such that you're in socials that you're out on.
I send everybody to the website. It's 4 letters, IamMJ.com, as in, who are you? I am MJ. And everything's there. You can find out my print-on-demand stuff, because I do have stuff on Etsy, eBay, and Amazon. The book's there. The book comes in paperback, ebook, or 2 versions of audiobook. My YouTube, all my social medias are there. So my YouTube is IamMJYT. Facebook is IamMJFB. So everything's done like that. But like I said, if you're interested in the book, there's a 15-minute podcast where, like I said, the deep dive people did a look at it, and I would just post it on the Facebook page. I'm sorry, on the YouTube page, and you can get to understand what the book's about. And it's kind of my way to tell you, if you're bitten by the creative bug, don't ignore it. It's part of you. Figure out, I don't care if it's 2 minutes a day to draw on a napkin.
Mm-hmm.
Find your thing. But yeah, go to the website. All my whole life's there. Pictures I post. I'm going to amp up some stuff, and I'm even going to talk in the future about some of the AI stuff because I'm finding that I'm loving the process of learning new things. I didn't know that was a big part of my life either, wanting to learn new things. So yeah, IamMJ.com will get you everything you need to know.
Sounds great. And I put that into the chat so you guys can check that out and connect with MJ. And yeah. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Dan will joining me, and we're going to be talking about a little bit about stress and how to handle stress when it comes to our wedding events. And again, tonight's interview show was brought to you by DJ Event Planner, DJEventPlanner.com. Everyone, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in about 10 minutes.